Shalom, I'm Jody Hirsh, the Judaic Education Director at the Harry and Rose Samson Family Jewish Community Center, and this is my Moment of Torah. So before I actually mention the Parsha, I want to tell you a story. Sitting at my desk here at the JCC, I often get calls from people who want to know information about something Jewish, often non-Jews. I mean, if they have a Jewish question and they look it up in the phone book, Jewish Community Center comes before Jewish Federation or any of the other institutions. So we get the first call usually from many people. And so one time I answered the phone and there's a woman who was a secretary in a church somewhere here in Milwaukee. And she said, my pastor asked me to call you. They want to know where to buy sheaves. I said, what? And she said, no, sheaves. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, for the waving of the sheaves. And then I realized what she was talking about. She was talking about the commandment in the Bible to wave sheaves. So what exactly is the waving of the sheaves? The answer to that question actually is in this week's Parsha. Parshat Emor, which is Leviticus chapters 21 to 24. So in our Parsha, there's a lot of stuff. There's stuff about the priesthood, there's stuff about various holidays, but it tells us the following. You shall count for yourselves from the day after the day of rest, from the day when you bring the omer of the waving, 7 weeks, they shall be complete. Until the day after the 7th week, you shall count 50 days, and you shall offer a new meal offering to the Lord. Now, when you look at that, it sounds like total gobbledygook. But what it refers to is the period between Passover and Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. So this year, the period is the second night, from the second night of Passover, which was March 26th, until Shavuot, which is May 14th. There's this whole period of counting this thing called the Omer. Now, what is the Omer? Okay, there actually can be two different definitions of Omer. One definition is a sheaf of wheat. So that is what an omer is. The second definition could be a measure of barley. And so what does this mean exactly? So in the ancient days, first when there was the tabernacle and then when there was the temple in Jerusalem, people would mark this period of time, this 7 weeks plus 1 day, 50 days, between Passover and Shavuot by literally waving sheaves of wheat. So that's what they would do, and that was a kind of a ceremonial thing, but they would bring this wheat to the temple, and it was actually sacrificed in the temple. So that's what the waving of the sheaves are. Now today, we don't actually wave sheaves of wheat, which is what confused the poor lady that I was talking to on the phone. She said, well, where do we buy that? And I said, I have no idea. We don't do that anymore. And she says, you don't? Well, where would I buy some? And I said, well, I don't know, go to a garden store or something like that. Because we don't do this literally anymore. What we do is we have a symbolic counting of the Omer, that we count it symbolically. So every day after after the first day of Passover, we symbolically count. This is the first day of the Omer, this is the second day, and so forth and so on. In fact, there are all manner of special Omer calendars that we use in order to help us count the Omer. Some of them like this, where you twist the handle and it tells you what the day of the Omer is. Or there could be charts. Some of them are very colorful. Sometimes they're in different sorts of shapes, but they're different calendars that will tell us which day we are and which is the day of counting the Omer. So this is what we do during this entire period of time. We count between Passover and Shavuot. And as a matter of fact, tonight, Friday night, is the 32nd day of the Omer. So that you would just say symbolically, you would say there's a special blessing, and then you would say, today is 32 days, which is 4 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. So this is exactly what we do every day, but it's symbolic, and which is why I didn't know where we could buy sheaves, because we don't buy sheaves anymore. Shabbat Shalom.